All right, let's get right into it. Today we're talking about a law of power that, I gotta say, it feels pretty ruthless, maybe even a little unfair at first glance. But you can't deny how effective it is. It's really all about leverage, efficiency, and building this almost godlike reputation for yourself.
And who better to kick things off than Thomas Edison himself? I mean, his name is basically synonymous with American invention. But this quote, it's kind of shocking, isn't it? I know how to steal. It just peels back the curtain on this ruthless pragmatism that you don't usually read about in the history books. He's flat out admitting the game isn't just about creating something new. It's about acquiring it.
So here it is, the law in its most basic, brutal form. And listen, this isn't just about delegating a few tasks here and there. No, this is about taking the entire work, the wisdom, the creativity, the actual breakthroughs of other people, and using it all to build up your own name. The goal is incredibly simple. You're the one who gets remembered, they're the ones who get forgotten. So let's see how this actually plays out in the real world.
And honestly, there's probably no better story to illustrate this than the tragic rivalry between two absolute titans of electricity. So, meet our protagonist, Nikola Tesla. This guy is a true, undeniable genius. He's also a bit of an idealist, you know? He thinks science should be pure, that it's above all the petty politics of the world. And so, he shows up in America, thinking he's finally found his champion in the world-famous Thomas Edison.
So Edison puts him to work right away. He dangles this huge promise in front of him, $50,000. I mean, that's an absolute fortune at the time. All Tesla has to do is redesign Edison's clunky, inefficient dynamos. So what does Tesla do? He pours everything into it, works day and night, completely motivated.
And after a year of just grueling work, he does it. He completely succeeds, improving the dynamos immensely. So he goes to Edison, asks for the money he was promised, and Edison just laughs. He laughs it off with his absolutely devastating line. It was all a joke. So, think about the outcome. Edison gets all the credit and the vastly improved technology. And Tesla, he gets a very, very hard lesson in American humor.
And sadly, this pattern just keeps repeating itself for Tesla. Later, he invents the AC system, the literal foundation of the electrical grid we still use today. He partners up with George Westinghouse. But when Westinghouse's company hits a rough patch financially, he manages to persuade the good-hearted Tesla to just sell his patents. Sell them outright to save the company.
The scale of this loss, it's just staggering. I mean, think about this. Tesla sold his patents for a little over $200,000. Their estimated worth at the time? $12 million. He basically gave away his life's work, all out of a sense of loyalty.
And this, right here, brings us to the crucial difference between these two men. You had Tesla, the pure creator, the genius who felt like he had to do everything himself. And then you had Edison, the savvy publicist, the businessman. He understood he didn't need to be a brilliant mathematician, he could just hire one. The results? Well, they really do speak for themselves. In the end, it turns out the credit was way more valuable than the actual creation.
But look, this isn't just some old story about two inventors. This is about a fundamental dynamic that plays out in the world of power, again and again.
The source material uses this great metaphor, the world as a jungle. On one side, you've got the hunters. These are the people like Tesla, the ones doing all the hard, creative, groundbreaking work. But then you have the vultures. They're the ones who just circle overhead, patiently waiting for the hunter to make a kill so they can swoop in and feast on the rewards. The key here isn't to get angry at the vultures. It's to understand how they play the game.
Let's take the explorer Balboa. He was a classic hunter. He did all the dangerous, back-breaking work of finding the legendary Incan Empire, but here was his mistake. He couldn't keep his discovery quiet. So a vulture, a guy in his own ranks named Francisco Pizarro, saw his chance. He helped arrange to have Balboa executed, and then he just walked in and claimed all the glory and all the gold for himself.
Okay, but you don't have to be a ruthless conquistador to master this law. Let's look at the artist Peter Paul Rubens. He created what was basically a genius factory for paintings. He had dozens of specialists working for him, one guy for backgrounds, another for robes, you name it. But here's the brilliant part. When a rich client came to visit his studio, he'd clear everybody out, work alone at this incredible speed, and make it look like this massive, godlike output was all his own doing. He was a vulture for sure, but a brilliant one.
Now, playing the vulture doesn't always have to be so parasitic. There's actually a more elegant and, frankly, more accessible way to use this law.
This quote from Otto von Bismarck really sums it up perfectly.
Fools say that they learn by experience. I prefer to profit by others' experience. I mean, why go through all the pain of making mistakes yourself when history is basically a giant library of other people's successes and failures? It's all about leveraging the work and the wisdom of those who came before you.
Think about it. Isaac Newton famously said he stood on the shoulders of giants. He was building on the work of people like Kepler and Galileo. Or Shakespeare. We think of him as the peak of originality, right? But he borrowed tons of his plots from classical writers like Plutarch. He just knew a great story when he saw one. And this is still happening today. You hear a politician give some incredibly witty, powerful speech, chances are they didn't write it. In their own way, they're all using the genius of others to make themselves look even more brilliant.
So the conclusion seems pretty obvious, right? Just take credit for everything. But is that really the whole story? As anyone who's a master of their game knows, every rule has its exceptions.
And that brings us to the reversal of the law. Because true mastery isn't just about knowing the rule. It's about knowing exactly when to break it.
You can't find a better example of this than Henry Kissinger's relationship with President Nixon. Okay, so the historic visit to China in 1972, that was Nixon's big idea. But it was Kissinger's incredible diplomatic skill that actually made it happen. So what did Kissinger do? He was smart. He graciously stepped back and let his boss, Nixon, take almost all of the public credit. Why would he do that? Simple. He knew that hogging the limelight would have made his boss resentful and would have threatened his own powerful position.
And this, right here, is the master-level takeaway. The truly skilled player knows how to navigate the hierarchy. They take credit from those below them, just like Edison or Rubens did. But they graciously give credit to those above them. It's about knowing how to play both sides of the coin.
So as we wrap this up, I want to leave you with a question to think about. Just look around your own world, your job, your industry, even your social circles. This dynamic of the hunter and the vulture is playing out everywhere, all the time. The first question is, can you spot it? And maybe the more important question is, which one are you?